You are listening to The Joyce Aldrich Show at CHAJ 1610 AM. La voz de la comunidad, Toronto.
You're listening to the Joyce Aldrich Show tonight, and this one is for you. And that's Don Naduriak and his wonderful Jazz of the Americas. You're going to be hearing a lot more of that music tonight. We have Don Naduriak in studio with us this evening. He's He's a sensitive, consummate, professional performer and wonderful pianist and a composer, an educator, all of that and more. And he's been playing around Toronto and the world. He's an international artist as well. So welcome to CHHA. First
Hi,
time
Joyce.
here.
Thanks very much.
So glad to have you here.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so that was this one's for you.
That's right.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. So tell us about what you're doing. You're going to be playing. Let's just get it right off the top. You play every month at Hirut.
That's right. Hirut is a small venue. It's a restaurant and cafe, and it's on the Danforth, just a bit west of Woodbine.
Yeah.
And over the years, Tebebi and his wife Hirut have developed a really wonderful jazz spot. All sorts of local players and international players are now starting to appear there. And I'm fortunate to have the last Saturday of each month where I bring in one of my quintets, and we do all my original music on those gigs.
Yeah, and the people you play with are marvelous.
Oh, I'm very fortunate. Toronto's blessed with great players in Toronto, and then visiting people who are of very high quality. And then, of course, the whole Latin American community, which is contributing so much to the musical
fabric.
Sound. It's quite amazing. So I'm fortunate enough to play with a number of Cuban musicians as well.
Yeah. So and this particular Saturday, April 29th, coming up next Saturday. Yeah, you've got Bob Rice on trumpet, Carl Silvera on trombone, Lou Melly on bass, Lauren Naring on drums, and of course you're playing keyboards.
That's right.
And who else do you have got playing with you?
On this, what happens is every month I bring in a different quintet. I've always done this. I've rarely, except when I first had a salsa band here in Toronto back in the 70s. I've rarely kept just a standard group together. There are so many wonderful players. And with the jazz inflection, we're constantly looking for something new. So I just keep hiring different great players here in Toronto.
Well, that's really smart. Like that's the way to get some new sounds, like sabor.
That's right.
To get the different tonalities and everything, because everyone's got their own way. And with jazz, you got to do that.
That's right. And the other thing is that, again, the players that I play with are really very good, and I don't want to be in a position where somebody can't show up because they're busy touring someplace in Europe or whatever. So by having a large group to draw from, I'm fortunate. I can always have a band for the last Saturday of the month.
I think as a singer, I found the person who's the hardest person to book in a band is the bass player.
At times. It varies.
If you're a bass player, you're always going to be busy.
Well, yeah, there's that. The thing that I find probably the most critical person is the drummer, because I have a wide range of music. Like I play Afro-Cuban music, I play Brazilian jazz, and I'm born in Saskatchewan and studied here with great jazz players when I was a youth. So I played straight ahead jazz as well, and so all my writing draws on all those genres. And to have a drummer that can play Cuban music and play Brazilian music and then swing on top of it is quite unique. So I'm always looking for great drummers.
I think we've been really fortunate here in Toronto because of the Cuban musicians who have come in. A lot of the Canadian musicians have been playing with them, and they're picking up the bomba, know, and it's a really wonderful mix. You said you started off playing jazz, and you played with Oscar Peterson?
Well, I studied with Oscar.
When
I he had a school called the School of Contemporary Music here in Toronto.
Right.
And that's what brought me to Toronto from Saskatchewan. I studied with him and with the various other teachers that were at the school. And I was very fortunate because within the first week that I got here, I was suddenly working a lot. So I got very busy very quickly.
Young musicians in Toronto have a chance, would you say?
Well, I think so. I mean, things have changed quite a bit since the days when I first started. In those days, it was not unusual to do a couple of weeks solid or even longer in different clubs. One-offs in clubs was very, very rare.
Yeah.
And that's changed a great deal. But I do think that there are probably more spots for making music in Toronto than there ever were. But most of them are small venues, and they specialize in singers or duos and things like that. So even a band like mine, which is only 5 pieces, it's a trick getting it booked, you know?
Well, especially, when you want to play the music you play to pay your musicians as well.
Right.
This is a big deal. Back in the day, the musicians couldn't play a place unless they were musician union contracts, and if a place didn't have one, they got blacklisted.
Yeah, that was.
Those are the old blacklist days. Those aren't around anymore, and that actually protected a lot of musicians.
Yes, yes. I mean, the training of musicians was different in those days. There weren't so many well-trained musicians as there are now. I mean, the schools are churning out wonderful players and teaching them the techniques to develop themselves. So it's quite different than in those days, where generally bands were pretty stable because you found players that could play the type of music you wanted to play, and you stuck with them because there weren't that many others.
No, it really changed. Different styles of music, and we had the larger venues too as well. You talked about there being more venues now, and that's surprising to a lot of people's ears because but they are smaller.
That's right.
They're much smaller. They're not the big big venues that we used to have. They've disappeared, and it's the way it's going. The way it rolls now.
There was dinner music and dancing. There was space for that sort of thing. Where now, to have a live band in a spot where you can actually dance, at least in the ways we used to dance in those days, that's changed as well, right?
It has. So, I don't know if people go out to dance much anymore. They go to the discos, but I don't know what they're doing.
Well, that's it. I mean,
different kind of scene.
Those clubs are still happening. Yeah. Those are the huge clubs, right?
Yeah.
Where they pack 1,000
and they're
or
DJs,
more people
DJ
in.
driven.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's not often live music in those.
Yeah, the culture has changed, but I'm so happy that people are really, really turned on still by the great jazz and the old music. It hasn't died because it's universal. It's a great sound. And what you're composing, we're going to talk more about what your project is because when we come back after break. But Jazz of the Americas. You're bringing together so many different genres.
Well, that's important to me. I mean, at one point, I also taught dance.
You were a dancer first before you did the salsa.
Yes. Let me think.
What kind of dancer were you?
Yeah, that's right. I was in the dance business before I was playing salsa. Well, I was teaching ballroom and Latin dancing in a couple of the then dance clubs in town.
Wow.
And even in those clubs, I mean, we had an actual dance floor, and there was in the first club I worked in, which was called Top of the Town in those days.
Right.
We actually had a piano in there as well, and we would have a little trio come in on Saturday nights and play for the dancing. But that was ballroom and Latin dancing, so it was like the Latin aspects were cha-cha and mambo and tango. And the other the smooth dancing was quick step and waltz and foxtrot and swing and things like that.
May I ask what year that was, or is that okay?
That would be the late 60s into the early 70s.
Wow.
And then at that point, a really fantastic musician came to town named Memo Acevedo, and he was a great teacher. He is a great teacher as well as a wonderful musician and a great human being, and he taught so many of us.
And when we come back, we're going to be playing one of your songs from Jazz from the Americas, and we're going to play great music right after this break.
CHHA 1610 AM. More voices 24 hours through. Programming continues.
You are listening to The Joyce Aldrich Show at CHHJ 1610 AM. La voz de la comunidad, Toronto.
If you're just joining us now, we're here with Don Naduriak in the studio at the Joyce Aldrich Show. It's 7:22, and that was Big Joe Beam. Don, is there a story behind Big Joe Beam?
Well, it's obviously dedicated to Joe Beam, who was the great Brazilian.
Joe Beam. Oh my goodness! There, you see, I'm so because the way you spell it. I love it. It's wonderful.
Well, I didn't write the whole. I didn't write the whole real title to that on the album because I felt a bit awkward about it. But the actual the actual name of that tune is Big Joe Beam. He's a bossa.
Oh, I love it.
But I didn't have the courage to do it at that time.
I know because Brazilians take their bossa very seriously.
Well, the music is brilliant music.
It is. What do you find about Joe Beam's music that you love the most? What do you love about it?
He's a hugely melodic writer as well as brilliant conceptually and harmonically. Mm-hmm. But his melodic sense and the range of his music is really moving to me. I'm a great fan,
Yeah.
And he was just a wonderful musician.
Well, it's beautiful music to listen to. It just takes you away. It's like it's a whole other sphere, I find, with that kind of music. And your music, the one dedicated to Joe Beam, Big Joe Beam.
Yeah.
The melodics are beautiful there as well, and the harmonies. And
thank you. Thank you very much.
I don't play any instruments, but I do love what I hear. So
thanks.
Absolutely beautiful.
I appreciate it.
No, it's absolutely wonderful. So a guy from Saskatchewan comes to Toronto, and you teach salsa dancing and Latin dancing, and you become you go into the salsa world, and then you come out the other end as this amazing jazz player with all these amazing layers.
Well, I was very fortunate. Again, just to mention Memo Acevedo again, he was a huge influence on me. But it was interesting. Like the first, I remember the first gig I did with him in the El Macombo down there on Spadina, and we played, and I'm playing the timbaos, I'm playing the montunos.
Wow.
And because I just loved the music, and being a dancer and being a musician before I was a dancer, I had a real sense of the music.
And drums are natural. And
when I got off the stage, all these people started talking to me, asking me where I was from. And they were speaking in Spanish, which I'm still not very fluid at. And I didn't know what they were saying, but I was apparently doing the montunos properly, and they were excited by the whole thing. And that was really due to Memo and his musicality and his ability, and his great teacher.
Oh yeah, being with them is just if you can just absorb it. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, the music's wonderful.
It is.
As long as you've learned what the bass player is doing, you're okay.
Well, there are over 1,000 different rhythms, I think, in the Cuban music alone, the Afro-Cuban music at least.
Quite
even more than 1,000.
I've never bothered to count.
There's so many. When you think of rock, it's a doom. It's so different. Jazz is such a different thing to play. We're going to be going to break in a few minutes, but when we come back, I hope to be playing Sunset Grove. It looks so nice. So can you just set that up for us a little bit?
Well, again, Sunset Grove is out of the Afro-Cuban, or at least my version of the Saskatchewan Afro-Cuban music. And I was inspired. That tune was actually inspired by a friend of mine, Luis Mario Ochoa, who I worked with quite a lot when he was here. And just hearing some of his writing, because he's a great composer as well as just a wonderful singer and personality. And he really inspired a large part of my after Memo. He was probably the next strongest influence on me. And there was another great musician who was an great influence on me, and that's Pocho Mendez.
Oh, yes.
He was a Peruvian singer.
Okay.
He and I had a band called Picante, which was one of the first salsa bands in Toronto.
Oh.
And he was just a great influence on me and helped me a great deal with it. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're so generous, these musicians, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So the good ones, the real ones, you know.
Well, we're all in it just trying to make the music, right?
Exactly, and it's exciting, and it really is exciting. There's no economy of anything. It's just very generous and beautiful because I was in a Cuban band for 11 years, and I just know the whole feel of it is wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, there's no. So we're going to go to break for a few minutes, in a few seconds, and when we come back, we're going to be hearing more of Don Nadurak's wonderful music, his Jazz of the Americas, with all these fabulous, fabulous players, and so we're going to hear Sunset Grove when we come back, right after this.
CHHA 1610 AM.
Sunset Grove, yes. And if that doesn't bring the sun into your homes tonight in this cold, rainy day, I don't know what will. That's Don Nadurak's music. And wow, Don, I love the sonority between the trumpet and the flute. I love it. It's so beautiful. And you know, I always see a clock ticking when I hear Cuban music. It always feels like there's this sort of, I don't know how it is, you know, it's like a clock. Dun, 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 dun. You know, it's got that
the montuno.
Yeah, the montunos. They always sound like, it always sounds like a clock going by. I don't know, around.
You know, I'd just like to mention the names of the musicians.
Please,
who were on this
where
album.
and also where you recorded it.
It was this was live in a small space called Musidium. Which was a wonderful space that Donald Kwan had set up down on Richmond Street near Spadina.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a live performance, and the guys had never seen the music before. We met for an hour before right before we went on, and they basically sight read and played my music. Quite amazing.
Mm.
And on flute, that was Bill McBurney, who
Fabulous.
was a marvelous player. And on trombone, Russ Little.
Mm.
And Duncan Hopkins was the bass player. And Joaquin Nunez Hidalgo was the drummer.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate that they came and played my music.
Oh, they didn't just play it. It's an experience. It's beautiful. And it sounds like they've been playing forever. That's the beautiful thing about great jazz musicians. Great musicians. You can just sit and pick up the music and they've got the bomba, you know. And I always say,
well, the thing about jazz that's appealing to me, and I think to a lot of people, is that because you don't go in other than just with the melody itself, you don't go in with anything set. There's always this element of excitement where you're just not too sure where you're going to go until you're on your way there.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I really like about live music as opposed to generally recorded music, unless it's a live performance
like
that's
this.
being recorded.
Mm.
Just the excitement of that, I don't know, danger or challenge is really wonderful.
I love it, and I think you're absolutely right, because there's a brightness. There's a live. It's alive. Yeah. It's live music. But so Jazz of the Americas. You're there at Hirut every last Saturday of every month. Your next performance is on Saturday, April 29th.
That's right.
You have two shows, 8 o'clock and 9:30.
That's right. We do 2 1-hour shows.
Wow.
And as I say, it's all my original music. I have about 100 different compositions in all these various genres. And so each time that we play, I try to have at least 2 new ones that people have never heard. So
amazing.
I'm basically trying to write 2 tunes a month. But I have quite a large amount of a material that's only partially developed. So I go back and develop some of it. It's not like I'm usually starting from scratch, although there are occasions when I do that. And Hirut Cafe and Restaurant is at 2050 Danforth Avenue. And again, it's just a half a block east of Woodbine on the Danforth.
Easy to get to.
Can I give the phone number of it
Absolutely,
as well for reservations?
Boy,
they're recommended.
Yeah.
647-779-1986. That's Hirut at 647-779-1986.
Absolutely. So
Thanks.
Definitely this Saturday, April 29th, 2 shows, 8 o'clock and 9:30. You got to go and hear the live music, which we're listening to tonight as well from the Jazz of America's album.
Right.
That's fantastic.
That's right.
So, I want to play another one, which
good.
is And When I Look Into Your Eyes. Yeah. So this one, you want to set this one up for us?
It's an unusual time signature for those of you who are interested in that. And the form's a bit unusual as well. You'll hear how it sort of turns within itself. So it's to me, it was kind of full of surprises.
Full of surprises. Well, that's okay. we like
looking into your eyes.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's right. And all the surprises I have when I'm doing this show. Until I get used to this board. Okay, so this it is.
Fine.
Oh, this is great. And When I Look Into Your Eyes. Here it is. Don Naduriak. Here we are. and when I look into your eyes, very, very exciting music by Don Naduriak. That very, very surprising and exciting. Absolutely, absolutely fabulous. I want to talk a little bit about your educational pursuits, because you have quite a few, and just wanted to ask you if you wanted to share that with us.
Well, both my parents were teachers, and somehow I feel that way a bit about myself, which is, again, one of the reasons that I have so many different players coming through the band, is I kind of feel like it's a chance to expose players who are not used to it, to all these different genres. And so that's sort of part of what I do. But yes, I've taught various students, and I've written a book called Cookin' with Salsa,
cool,
which explores how the bass and the montunos work together, and it explains how clave works, and it's designed for keyboard players and piano players. And basically, what I've done is I've put the bass part in the left hand, and the piano part in the right hand. And then I wrote these 10 different studies on how to apply that music. One of the impulses, or one of the reasons I wanted to do that book is I had read a number of books on how to play Afro-Cuban music, and I found that what they basically did is they gave the rhythmic impetus of it, the way the montuno was put together. They never explained how it works with the bass, but they gave you the piano parts, but they only gave you like a 4-bar phrase. They didn't show how it can be developed over a harmonic basis. So that's what I basically did, is I took some of my tunes, and I took the montunos from them, and I developed them so that they're actually like pieces of music, rather than just a little phrase here and a little phrase there, and no way to connect them.
So much better.
So, well I hope so. I hope some people have gotten a great deal out of it.
How can people get that book? Cookin' with Salsa, is it anywhere in the stores, on Amazon?
Jamie Abersold used to keep it. I don't know if he still does, and along in McQuaid in town. And then, of course, they can always get in touch with me, and I'll be glad to send them.
How do they get in touch with you?
Well, I have my email is xavierjazz@hotmail.com. That's xavierjazz@hotmail.com. xavierjazz@hotmail.com. And I have a website under, a Facebook page, Don Naduriak Music, and my last name is spelled Naduriak. So people can always, and actually that's where I do get people who come to me for my book. And it's been available internationally. There were a couple of international publishers who took some as well.
Well, we're going to go to break right now. We'll be back with more wonderful music by you. Terrific.
Thanks.
Yes, we're really enjoying this. I know our audience is.
CHHA 1610 AM, the first and only Hispanic radio station in Canada, from Toronto to the world.
You are listening to The Joyce Aldrich Show at CHHA 1610 AM, la voz de la comunidad, Toronto.
That was Falling. And if you're falling in love with Don Naduriak's music, I wouldn't blame you, because that was Falling. Before that, it was party music. And it's been a party so far. We're having you here in studio, Don. And boy, your jazz chops combined with your Latin chops are amazing. It's that strong keyboard, you know.
Thank you. Well, it's a real piano, which is my real instrument, you know.
Oh yeah, beautiful. So we're gonna keep you here for another hour, and when we come back from break, we're going to be playing Luis Mario Ochoa and a wonderful singer, Laura Fernandez, who we love dearly here. Both of them, we play their music all the time, and it's such a treat to have you here, because you know them both, and you can chime in after, and we can talk about these wonderful people after we. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you know, they are both fabulous musicians and wonderful people. So we'll be back in about just a little while, and we'll be playing some wonderful Luis Mario Ochoa when we come back after this.
Advertise yourself at CHHA 1610 AM. Call our sales department at 416-782-2953 or email us sales@chhj1610am.ca. Learn about our great sales packages made right for you. Call now, 416-782-2953 or visit chhj1610am.ca.
You are listening to The Joyce Aldrich Show at CHHJ 1610 AM. La voz de la comunidad, Toronto.